With indie games, the rules are more relaxed than standard AAA games. You never know what to expect, be it a unique story, gameplay style, or maybe a throwback to a classic style of gaming. A Hat in Time is no exception to this rule. The game is a love letter to old 3D platformers, and is proud of it. Making around 10 times its original goal on Kickstarter, the game grew a quick fan base with its charming gameplay, lovely locations, and entertaining story. With a surprising amount of dark humor, even into the characters themselves, we ask where everyone falls on the morality spectrum. Hey guys, I'm Brad with One Up Binge, and this is A Hat in Time characters, good to evil. First, we have the good. These are characters that want to make the world a better place. For our gold medal of good, we admit it's controversial, considering that this person is technically the villain of this game. But after thinking it over and seeing who she's up against, we think they deserve the top spot for being the most good. That quote-unquote villain in question is none other than Mustache Girl. When you first run into her, she's a freedom fighter, waging a war against the mafia of cooks. When meeting Hat Kid for the first time, she helps her out with collecting her timepieces, even getting them back from the mafia of cooks. Once she found out that these timepieces could turn back time, Mustache Girl starts to fantasize about time travel in order to fight crime, be it saving Hat Kid from being punched by the mafia, or by being time-traveling crime fighters. However, as Hat Kid needs these timepieces to get back to her home, she refuses. Mustache Girl gets angry with her, and she decides to find the rest of the timepieces herself, even flooding Mafia Town with lava to slow down Hat Kid. Eventually, stealing the rest of the timepieces from Hat Kid's ship, she creates her own planet where she's the judge, jury, and executioner, punishing all the residents of the planet. Thanks to Hat Kid stepping up to fight her, along with all the friends she made throughout the story, she was eventually stopped and Hat Kid got all her timepieces back. She sounds like a standard villain, so why are we giving her the gold medal of good? Mustache Girl is actually right in calling everyone villains. The Mafia of Cooks is a mafia organization that took over her island. The mafia boss is the headmaster of this group, the conductor and DJ Grooves. Depending on who you had win the award, we're both willing to kill Hat Kid over the fact that they lost a film award, even after Hat Kid helped them win their own award. And the Snatcher is a demon that steals souls. These guys are nasty, with the sole exception coming from the directors, which we'll talk about later. Plus, with their employees or henchmen, it's easy to say that they were aware of these tendencies or evil actions, or even helped them with their misdeeds. So, they aren't off the hook either. She can be reasonable, outside of her desires to beat the mafia into a puddle of blood and sell it. She was willing to let Hat Kid leave her, as despite their fight and breakup, she still considered her a good guy. Her methods are questionable, with her flooding Mafia Town with lava and her new headquarters she built being a lava world, but it seems like the other denizens understand that she is the hero, even if they say that they don't need a hero. Truthfully, her time is just wasted trying to be a good guy. However, what sealed Mustache Girl's spot is her Time Rift storybook, The Hero, obviously. Here, we see a more naive and kinder Mustache Girl, one who's friendly with all the locals and is willing to welcome the mafia. Once they take over the island for themselves, she tries her best to sabotage them and their daily operations, even if her home is now just a cave. She lost everything, yet is still trying to fight the mafia to get her island back. From fighting a war against the mafia by herself to staying grounded to judge everyone, we're pretty comfortable giving her the gold medal here for being the most heroic of the cast. She may be the villain of Hat Kid's story, but with how much cruelty goes on here on this planet, and how there's someone at least making an honest effort to change things for the better, we can say that she is the hero. For the silver medal, we had the unsung hero of Mafia Town, Cooking Cat. The Mafia of Cooks are well feared among the citizens of Mafia Town, for good reasons. Alongside taking over, they're known for being horrible cooks, so bad that people would most likely die if they try to take a bite out of it. Enter Cooking Cat, whose job is to make actual tasty food and swap it with the Mafia's poorly created meals. She hides out above the rafters in the Mafia's den, cooking her own dishes to replace the Mafia's cooking, with the denizens being none the wiser. Apparently, she's a famous chef, as the residents of the planets talk about how she has her own TV show, all about cooking and tasting meals. After meeting up with Hat Kid, she hops onto her ship, teaching Hat Kid about relics and talking to her about food. Cooking Cat serves as an anchor, having no negative traits and just wanting to cook good meals. All you penguins out there know DJ Grooves. DJ Grooves and the Conductor are two interesting cases, as depending on who Hat Kid helps the most and wins the award for, they become the boss and are willing to kill Hat Kid over her timepiece so they can get more awards. And there isn't any canon winner and loser of the awards, so how are we going to tackle them? Well, to give them both a fair chance at being as nice as possible, we're treating the both of them as if they lost and were not the villain. With that out of the way, onto the Penguin. One of the two directors of Dead Bird Studios, DJ Grooves, is the more chilled and relaxed. When you first meet him in person, he takes an interest in you as a possible actor and takes you under his wing. He pays whatever debt you have with the studio, as well as give you a passport to let you work in the studio. For the movies that he has you work on, they're more friendlier to Hat Kid than the Conductor's movies. Even with the big parade, it's still less deadly than the Conductor's train rush movie, meaning DJ Grooves could just view Hat Kid as good enough to not get hurt. Even the level intro card shows Hat Kid having a great time, enjoying working for DJ Grooves. If we're going by our rules, then even after losing to the Conductor thanks to Hat Kid, DJ Grooves is still willing to save her from being blown up. DJ Grooves is even willing to help out the Conductor, voicing the cardboard cutout of the elderly woman just to help spice up his movie. With this rule in place, the only bad thing we can say about this penguin is that he's blunt. He thinks that Hat Kid isn't photogenic and that his fellow moon penguins are terrible actors, and isn't afraid to tell Hat Kid either of these pieces of news. However, this raises the question, why does he still keep his moon penguins around if he thinks they're terrible actors? Well, the answer can be found in the hidden, groovy underdog storybook. After getting booed and pelted with fruit by a crowd after they hated his movie, the moon penguins jumped in to shield DJ Grooves and take him to safety. Since then, DJ Grooves has been appreciative of the penguins, so much that even if they are terrible actors, he's okay with keeping them, seeing them as family. Even if DJ Grooves doesn't have more awards than the Conductor, he's still better than him where it matters. In fourth place, we have the ever-loyal robot vacuum, Rumby. Basically the space version of a Roomba, Rumby is Hat Kid's faithful robotic companion. He's Hat Kid's sentient vacuum, and as she puts it, her unwilling transportation service. Despite this abuse he receives from Hat Kid, he still values her and will stay at her side. His true character comes forth in the One Last Journey storybook. Here, Hat Kid created him, and he essentially sees her as his creator. Throughout the course of the storybook, he has been shown to always be there for Hat Kid, be it with good times, like her winning awards from Dead Bird Studios, to bad times, like having her soul stolen by the Snatcher. While he may be tossed around from time to time, his loyalty towards Hat Kid is nothing short of sweet. For our last entry in the good area, we have the mysterious badge seller. Calling themselves a traveler, they have collected a variety of badges for Hat Kid to buy. These badges can give her benefits or downgrades depending on what she buys. A homage to the happy masked salesman from Majora's Mask, this person is just as mysterious. Their body twitches in a glitchy way, and they claim that their body is like that due to a place they once traveled to. The badge seller also isn't above giving Hat Kid warnings on what she buys, even letting her know that some of the badges they carry aren't that good. Regardless, they don't seem too fazed about the idea of other people buying these deadly badges, putting him lower than others. Despite that, he's genuine and fair in his deals, and as such, still someone that we deem trustworthy. Next is the gray area. These are characters who don't do evil things while not being that nice, or do good deeds while having some sins weigh them down. Kicking off the gray area, we have the main heroine, Hat Kid. As the star of the game, her goal is simple: just get back home. After losing her timepieces thanks to a mafia goon, she's sent down to the planet to relocate all her missing timepieces. She hops around place to place and gets stuck in plenty of situations, from helping Mustache Girl win her fight with the Mafia, to getting her soul stolen and having to help out a demon known as a Snatcher. She's been through a lot to get back what is hers. While on the planet, she helps and befriends others, from saving the Mafia town from being overrun with lava, to helping the directors film their movies. However, most of her ambition is through personal greed and desires, not altruism. She's only after her timepiece and doesn't care about what the plights of others are, plus can enjoy doing what she has to do too much. From her delight in burning paintings of people that she knows have been sucked in there, to mocking people in her diary, to crashing a cruise ship to get a timepiece. She saved everyone and felt bad about it, but the fact that everyone survived is nothing short of a miracle. That said, she's still a good person. She saved the Alpine skyline where the residents get infected by the purple plant without any promise of a reward. Similarly, she helps the Mafia and saves their town from being flooded with lava and saves the residents from being attacked by some Mafia members. In the end, she appreciates her friends on the planet, even sleeping with some dull versions of them. Overall, Hat Kid can be heroic, but she's still a kid at heart. Up next, we have the heart of the SS Literally Can't Sink, the White Seal crew. Under the eye of the Walrus Captain, these adorable white seals are all over the ship, making sure the ship is ship-shape. From keeping the ship clean, to fixing the plumbing, to cooking the food, these guys are the heart and soul of the ship, and why it's still floating. There is one major problem. They are terrible at their job. They're so bad at keeping control of the ship that tables are sliding all over the place. The food is terrible, with the kitchen having its equipment being set ablaze. Some of the seals are even sleeping on the job. They are friendly and apologize for their actions, but given that they've been with their captain for years and that they don't seem to be getting better, we have to dock some points. These seals are cute and adorable, but this is a ranking of morality and good deeds. And while these seals are harmless as workers on a cruise ship, they can do way better. Featuring our nicest Mafia member, we have the Goofy Mafia. The Mafia are a group of shady folks, from bullying the local residents to hosting their own black market. However, this Goofy Mafia is more level-headed. He works with the Mafia, but his true job is to look out for any aliens. After being scared by Hat Kid, he ends up fleeing her and giving her a timepiece. Later on, he tells Hat Kid about the problem going on in Mafia Town, with the place being flooded by lava, and even praises her and gives her another timepiece after she saves the island. From then on, he served as the access hub to play any of the mods on the PC version of the game. He's definitely nicer than other members of the Mafia, but he's still a proud member of the Mafia, and as such, gets ranked around the middle. We had the crew of the SS Literally Can't Sink. Now meet the captain, the Walrus Captain. In comparison to the crew's lazy and cuddly personality, this guy is serious. With how incompetent the SEALs themselves are, it's easy to imagine that he's the main reason this ship didn't sink, at least until Hat Kid got to it. He makes sure all the passengers are properly on board and keeps them up to date with everything going on with the ship. That said, he's certainly quite the gruff. He dismisses the idea of kissing a boo-boo that a SEAL got, is almost seen with a cigarette in his mouth, and is constantly annoyed with how often the crew messes up. The Walrus Captain takes pride in the ship and is willing to do the classic captain move of going down with the sinking ship. And the crew have been doing this for years, and yet they still keep making errors. It's hard to be angry at him. In fact, you can't help but pity him, especially learning about his backstory. In the Lost at Sea storybook, he was just a freshly graduated captain. He was looking forward to his future of being a captain, especially working with his teacher. Unfortunately, tragedy struck his mentor's ship, and he went down with it, leaving the captain to drown in his sorrows with cigars. Life has beaten him down. He may be rude towards his crew, but it's hard to blame him. Up next, we have possibly the most mysterious group on this list, the Crow Agent Watch, or as they call themselves, CAW. This group is just like the Goofy Mafia. They're just kinda out there. They only have one major role in the murder on the Owl Express, being a group of traveling detectives. After the Express Owl is killed, they spring into action, looking around the ship to find clues. But they come empty-handed. The group isn't that good at their job. Whatever it is. They call themselves fellow Express Owls despite looking nothing like them, and ask Hat Kid ridiculous questions like what her pet's pet name is, or what part she's the most ashamed of, to which later on they laugh and mock. They also task Hat Kid with passing notes back and forth to each other in the ship-shape mission on the Arctic cruise. Truthfully, they're more weird and intrusive. They don't do anything good, nor do they do anything that horrible to warrant them being lower. Maybe they're better at being mysterious than we thought, just for the wrong reasons. Even with the generous rule we gave DJ Grooves, with not counting him or the conductor's fights against Hat Kid, the conductor only barely slides past being in the bad to evil. Unlike the Dancing Penguin, this foul-mouthed fowl isn't afraid of being a jerk towards Hat Kid, from forcing her to work with him during his movies, to being careless with her life. To the conductor, any sacrifice is good if it means that he can get a good shot. During one of his movies, he puts the lives of everyone on his crew in jeopardy by rigging his train with an explosive, telling Hat Kid to literally race for her life if she wants to stop the bomb. He's more concerned for the well-being of his train than he is of Hat Kid's safety, along with the rest of his crew being safe. His empathy for others is at a low, forcing actual train passengers to be his extras, laughing at others that fail to board his train on time, and giving Hat Kid mean and rude titles in the credits of his movies. He isn't afraid to play dirty with DJ Grooves, locking him and his crew in their studio, even if he realized minutes later that it probably wasn't a good idea. The only thing that's keeping him out of the bad to evil is his love from his grandchildren. He was willing to take them on the cruise ship, even if he dumped them at the playpen so he can hit up the drink bar. To be fair, he cares enough for them when the ship sinks to genuinely worry about them and thanks Hat Kid for saving them. That said, it does little to disguise how crude this bird is. We can definitely say that while Conductor's movies may be better and win more awards, DJ Grooves is the better person by a long shot. And finally, we have the bad to evil. These are the people that make us empathize and understand Mustache Girl's motives. These are true, genuine bad guys. Speaking of her, up first is her sworn enemy, the Mafia Boss, the ruler of Mustache Girl's old island. He has turned the place into a mafia paradise. He's behind all the mafia members arriving onto the island. Once just a worker at a factory, he got fed up with his factory life, deciding to head out with his other fellow mafia crew, setting sail for a new life, living in paradise. The only problem is that this new home happened to be Mustache Girl's island home, and they decided to take over. Mustache Girl tried to fight back, but it wasn't until Hat Kid came around that he was able to be pushed back. Afterwards, he stays in the background. He helps Hat Kid, even if he's stuck inside a jar, by selling her his compass badge that lets her track down treasure pieces and relics. He's also fond of his workers. After all, the only reason he's here is to give his mafia crew a new and peaceful life away from work. However, due to his methods of taking over the island to get his crew a better life, we're confident in still calling him the bad guy. From the captain to his crew, we have the Mafia of Cooks. This group is basically what their name is. They're a group of chefs that are a part of a mafia. Coming to the island with the mafia boss, they make themselves at home. Even if other residents were willing to welcome them, they decided to make the entire island into their new base of operations. They're villains and proud of their status. Some of their deeds include beating up barrels dressed as old women to scare others, beating up the local population, attacking seagulls with their own children, and tricking Hat Kid into a game of patty cake only to punch her in the face. In fact, they're the reason that Hat Kid is stuck on this planet, trying to force Hat Kid to pay a space fare for passing by their planet. That said, there is a bright side to them. If you are a part of the Mafia, they will protect you. They even have their own family that they want to see become as strong as them. There are even a couple of Mafia members that are actually nice to you, like the Bartender Mafia, the Mafia telling Hat Kid about how time rifts work, and the previously mentioned Goofy Mafia. However, with how many mean and nasty Mafia members there are, this group cooked themselves up a low spot on this list. For bronze, the Snatcher snatches this spot. This guy is evil and proud of it. The Spectre ruling over Subcon Forest, he traps Hat Kid and forces her to sign her soul over to him. Dangling her soul and timepieces over her head, he makes Hat Kid tidy up his forest and take care of other loose ends he has. From trying to get the fire spirits to leave him alone and to kill them off, to destroying a possessed toilet, he'll put Hat Kid in life-threatening situations. After Hat Kid does everything, he decides to kill her. Despite losing to her, Hat Kid decides to become best friends with him by altering his contract. This leads to him giving her his most dastardly contracts, his death wishes. He doesn't take too kindly to being beaten by a little kid and wishes to give her a painful time. That said, there are a couple of things that put him above a couple other entries. Once, he was a kind and caring prince, set to marry Queen Vanessa. However, thanks to a misunderstanding, the jealous queen sent Snatcher away and locked him up in the dungeon, turning him into the being he is today. He cares about his minions. Being the former prince of the forest, after the place was frozen over and killed the inhabitants thanks to his princess's jealousy, the Snatcher took it upon himself to not only put them under his protection, but also to give them new bodies to walk around in. He steals mail from others to give them to his underlings, so they can feel appreciated. While he can be friendly if the mood strikes him, he's someone you definitely don't want to cross or sign a contract with. For our silver medal, we have the ruler of the Nyakuza Underground, the Empress. In comparison to other villains, this Sphinx cat is a lot more cold and forceful. She is a criminal mastermind, ruling the city with an iron claw. Her specialty is in making counterfeit money, the same money she's been using to pay you and smuggling goods. The entire underground fears her, and for good reason. She takes whatever she wants and forces others to do her bidding. When someone fails to live up to her expectations, she's sure to make sure they fail at living, killing them. Even when Hat Kid steals back her timepieces from the Empress, this fearsome feline whips her workers into trying to get her, placing a bounty on her head and demeaning her underlings as they fail to catch her. All that the Empress really wants is to just make money no matter the means used to achieve this goal. The only nice thing we can say about her is that she's impressed with Hat Kid. Upon working with her, she got attached. Seeing Hat Kid as a potential successor, even catching up to her after being betrayed, she's willing to admit that this was her fault for being too trusting towards Hat Kid. Hat Kid betrayed her by stealing back her timepieces, but said timepieces were never the Empress's to begin with. She's the most serious threat Hat Kid has ever faced. From her threatening rule over the city to her cruelty towards her own staff, she's definitely not someone you want to trifle with. The gold medal of evil goes to Queen Vanessa. Once upon a time, she was once a princess who was happy with her role in life, especially if it meant that she could stay side by side with her lover, the prince. Even the fellow children of the village left her. However, she was obsessed with him. Whenever she saw him enjoy something that wasn't her, she would grow incredibly jealous and envious. Her tendencies grew to a point where she banned bacon from the house after hearing how much he loved it. Her desire for the prince grew so much that she even toyed with the idea of him being locked up in her dungeon. Her insanity would reach its peak once she saw the prince with flowers in his hands with another girl. Thinking he was cheating on her, she fled in tears, while the prince was confused, as he was buying those flowers for Vanessa. By the time he tried to talk with her, it was too late, and she locked him in the dungeon, and her anger and rage turned her into the shadow monster we know today. Not only that, but her rage has transformed the landscape, killing off the children of Subcorn Forest by freezing them. She's definitely the most cruel and vile foe in A Hat in Time. Alright guys, what do you think? Let us know in the comments section who the most evil characters are. And if you need a one-up, don't forget to hit that notification bell and binge our good to evil videos. Thanks for watching.